Okay, time for another Macross video, since I got done, blathering about something else. Now, I'm on the official Macross website. So this is just for the background for the time being, because there was some very, very big news that I just found out about, yesterday? Now, they just had the final tour for Waterkyude. It finished last weekend at Makari Messe in Chiba. They were having live viewings around the country for people who couldn't go up to freaking Tokyo or Osaka because, of course, you gotta skip over every fucking other city, right? Now, that I heard it was really good. Don't care. Personally, it doesn't matter to me. Because they've already started the push towards the next Macross series. Now, the reason I want to bring this up. So, for people who've been watching Macross more recently, you only know the production company is Satellite, okay? And the head of Satellite is Kawamori Shoji. He became the head of Satellite a while ago. It's like kind of now his little animation company, although it's probably not going to be much longer because they're in a lot of crap right now, financial crap. Part of the reason why Macross Delta's CG animation was kind of meh for most of it, and the character movements and just the copy paste whole aspect, which I've complained about before. They have been losing animators, like CG designers and whatever, for a long time. They keep leaving the company. I'm not exactly sure why. I heard most of this I heard through a Japanese YouTuber, and then, this, I kind of listened to that, and then I'm just kind of reporting on what I heard, basically. But the thing that's the most important here is that since Aquarian, so for those of you that don't know, Kawamori Shoji is not only Macross, okay? He worked on the car designs for Cyber Formula. He's done a lot of other stuff around, right? But he's also, he also did some of the vehicle designs in Kistem, which is a minor show that I talked about. I did a review of it a long, long time ago. So if you want to find it on my channel, go look for it. It's there. Just look up KISSDUM. I just reviewed it. Because I actually have the limited edition Blu-rays. And I'm not selling them. They're actually getting more expensive, believe it or not, for some reason. But he's been involved in a lot of other things. And he was also the creator of Aquarian. Where do you think the idea for the Messiah designs came from? Look at the head on the red VF-25 Messiah, the one that Autoto pilots, right? And you look at, I think it was the Aquarian Luna, has a very similar head design. So if you want to see where Kawamori started, wanting to throw a bunch of CG into Macross, it starts with Aquarian. Well, it starts at Macross 0, technically, but he put the CG in the Valkyrie battles and things, and then he left everything else in hand-drawn animation, basically, for 0. Whereas with Frontiers, where he really started pushing the hardcore CG and everything, especially in the Frontier movies. Not so much in the TV series, but more in the movies. But this is all because of what he did with Aquarian. If you watch Aquarian, which it's an okay TV show, I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think it's all that great. It ends kind of weird. But Satellite has done a lot of other things. But the main focus of this is that it starts with Aquarian, and then he became basically the head of Satellite, and then he releases Macross Frontier, massive hit, but other series that Satellite has produced have completely bombed, right? And Delta, until the second movie, was a complete failure, okay? the second movie, everybody complained about Delta. They, they complained about Frontier TV series because of the way it freaking ended, right? But there was, like, Delta was just flat out garbage until the second movie. Like, the only thing good about Delta is the second movie. I've said it in my review of the second Delta movie. I do have changing opinions about the second Delta movie, which I'm thinking about doing a revisitation of, where I rate the Macross series. But because I think Zero might be the best of the post 7 era Macross. I honestly believe it might be. Which means that it would knock Delta Zeta down a little bit for me. In terms of where I rate it. I would still say 2. Do you remember Love? And then I'd probably say 0 now. But putting that aside, the reason I'm talking about all this is that Satellite is not going to animate the next Macross show, okay? Let's see, let's go here. It was, so they have the, here's the new stuff. Let's jump here. There was, here. Okay, so this is the most important news the most important Macross news you're gonna hear for a little bit. So I'm gonna read it in Japanese, and then I'll translate it, and then we're gonna go to this website. Okay. 制作サンライズにて新作マクロスアニメーション企画始動。新作サンライズにて制作サンライズにて新作マクロスアニメーション企画始動。So, what this is saying is the next Macross that they're working on for the 45th anniversary is going to be animated by Sunrise. Now, everybody knows what Sunrise is. It is the company that was the intellectual property holders of Gundam and a lot of Tomino stuff, like what is it? They used to be called Nippon Sunrise a long time ago. I think it goes back to the 70s with Tomino. I think Daitarn 3 or Zambot 3 was Sunrise. Gundam is Sunrise, Dumbine, Zabungo, Cyber Formula is Sunrise, Code Geass is Sunrise. Well, Code Geass is actually Bandai because it was after the purchase of Sunrise, way after the purchase of Sunrise. But Sunrise was probably the most, like, for robot shows, Sunrise was on top. Period. They did everything. You had Elgaim, yeah, Zabungo, Idian, Dumbine, Gundam, Cyber Formula, Dragonar, Lasner. God, what are some of the other ones off the top of my head that I'm forgetting? Because Sunrise was just everywhere involved in everything at the time. And actually, Sunrise was actually involved in some of the animation of the original of Do You Remember Love, by the way. If you look at the credits of Do You Remember Love, you'll see in Japanese Sunrise. So Sunrise was involved in it. Now, this is important. Well, I need to also state that Sunrise is no longer Sunrise. It's now Bandai Namco Pictures. Bandai announced the change of the name recently, and I've talked about Birdie Wing before. It's stupid golf girls show, whatever. Stupid idiot friend of mine got me to watch it, and I'm kind of watching it because I have to watch it till the end. But I believe that's the first show to actually have the Bandai Namco Pictures name instead of the Sunrise name. So, but they've been phasing out the Sunrise name for the name Bandai Namco Pictures, okay? Now, let's jump here. So this is the official Sunrise website, okay? So, let's see, where was the announcement of the Macross thing? Let's see. Let's see. What was the date of this? June 4th. They have a press release here. So let's look at the press release. But they don't have anything about this. It doesn't say anything. So why is Macross linking to Sunrise's website when Sunrise hasn't actually announced it? Supposedly, this was supposed to be, what is it? And you can see Sunrise has got, like, you know, all kinds of stuff here. Oh, here we go. Here's the news here. It should be around here. Oh, Gao Geiger is also, all of the Yusha series is also part of that. They don't say Sunrise World. Maybe it's this one, because I didn't actually look at the site. Okay, I actually looked at the Sunrise site, but this, because it was announced on the official Macross website, so they're actually not using satellite. Now, Kawamori is the top of satellite. Why would they send the animation to Sunrise if Kawamori is in charge of satellite and that's his kind of animation company now? Why would they do that? It's because satellite is out of money and they don't have any animators to actually do it anymore. Because they've lost, outside of Aquarian and Macross Frontier, and maybe the second Delta movie, basically everything Satellite has done has just been total garbage. And they've lost lots of money on it. Like, they had DVD collections of certain series come out that only sold like 100 copies, or 200 copies of the Blu-ray or something. It was just like, the series are just awful, right? So, Satellite is actually basically a dead company. It's probably going to go bankrupt because they just don't have the money. So they're pushing Macross over to Sunrise. Now the animation done there. Now this, of course, because Big West owns the license to Big West is technically just an advertising company, but they own the property, the intellectual rights to Macross. Because Japanese intellectual property laws are really awful. The creators of the series don't own their works. Why do you think, what's-his-face, who was doing, like, Castlevania Symphony of the Night and stuff, which, you know, Metroidvania games, when he left, he had to create a spiritual successor to Castlevania. Because he couldn't use the Castlevania name, because Konami owns the rights, not the original creator of the series. So there's no way to make another Castlevania game, because Konami is not making video games anymore, basically. Right? They're focusing on pachinko stuff, right? So, this is marking an end to... I mean, because I'm guessing, because Kawamori's getting up in age. I mean, you think he did Macross and he was 24 years old or something like that? And so, when you consider that, and it's going to be the 45th anniversary when they release the next series, which is going to be 2027. So, I mean, they might release it earlier and then do, like, the movie versions for the 45th anniversary or something like that. But the 45th anniversary has already been, like I mentioned before, I think in another video, where they've been, they were hiring people earlier this year to work for Big West to prepare for the 45th anniversary of Macross. They were preparing their whole shebang for that. So them moving to Sunrise is saying it's the end of the line for Satellite. Well, what does that mean for Kawamori? Kawamori is getting older. Like, if you think it's been 45 years, he'll be 69 when the 45th anniversary of Macross comes around. He's already, what? He's in his 60s already. So let's see. Let's go. Kawamori Shoji. Let's see, where is his name? Da 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 da. Whoops. I'll just, yeah, there we go. Let's see. He was born in 1960. So this will automatically take me to Wikilis. So, if we look at how old he is now, he's 63 years old right now. Okay? He will be in 4 years, because it's going to be 4 years from till when the 45th anniversary comes around, so it'll be 67, right? So, he's going to be getting up there in age, and you know, there aren't many people who really understand Macross, to be honest, because everything is coming from Kawamori. Although Tomita, as I've explained before, because he was one of the main people and the main story writers for Do You Remember Love in the original Macross, and he did Macross too, so he understands Macross. But he's been out of, this whole scene for decades now. I think he stopped doing stuff after Dynamite 7 or something like that, because he had nothing to do with Zero, I think, if I recall correctly in the credits. But yeah, he's getting up in age, and he's, there aren't going to be many people that are going to be, like, if you look at who's actually directing, like, who's the actual, like, people who are, like, coming up with the story ideas, like, if you've watched, if anybody's able to understand, the videos, when they were doing the interviews with all the members, with all the partitions and stupid stuff going on, they, like, Kawamori wasn't there because he wasn't the main story writer for all this stuff. He would put the baseline story there, and then other people would kind of, brainstorm some ideas, and he just give the yes or no. Kind of like, maybe not as much freedom as, like, the writers of the Star Wars Expanded Universe, which is the true canon of Star Wars. Just put that out there. Disney Wars does not exist. The Expanded Universe is the only Star Wars there is. The writers had basically complete freedom to write whatever they wanted, but they had to run everything by George, and George Lucas would give the okay for, like, this is okay, this is not okay. No, you can't kill this character, but you can kill this character, all this other kind of stuff, right? So, Kawamori has a little more control over what happens in Macross because it's his baby, but most of the people who are involved with the making and the story writing and all that kind of stuff wasn't really Kawamori. He put the basis down, and then they kind of, were adjusting things and all this other stuff, because the actual director was a completely different person. If you look at the credits for Macross Deltas at that time, you'll notice that it's not Kawamori who's, doing all of it. It's other people, and he's kind of like the executive director on top, kind of giving direction to everybody down below. And he also designed the Valkyries. That's basically it. He spends more time with the mecha designs and stuff now than anything else. But this is telling me that Kawamori is not, he can't maintain control of Satellite anymore. It's probably going to go out of business before too long, and they're throwing the animation works over to Sunrise, because Sunrise actually is probably the one that has the most experienced CG animators and stuff like that, right? So, this is actually quite big news, because, to people who haven't been around Macross as long as I have, or maybe it started at Frontier or Delta or something like that, they only know the production companies being Satellite. I know it going back to Tatsunoko Pro, because that was the original Macross TV series, was Tatsunoko Pro. And then the movie version was AIC. And then Macross 2 was also AIC. So, and then they changed animation studios a little bit here and there, and then it landed on Satellite after Kawamori was in charge. But with Satellite going down, what is that going to say for Macross going forward? Because Kawamori is probably got maybe 2 series left in him, and then I think he might retire because, you know, by the time he gets to the 50th anniversary of Macross, he's going to be in his 70s, and I don't think he's going to want to be like Tomino doing it forever. Tomino is still doing... I think they finally finished G Recognista or whatever this show is, but Tomino's been completely focused on that, and he doesn't care about anything anymore. But he's damn near 80 years old now. And he's still doing stuff because he enjoys it. But I don't think Kawamori is at that level. I think he might want to, you know, finally just, you know, put the pen down and say, okay, I'm done. But what is that going to say for Macross for the future? Without Kawamori there to design the Valkyries and all this other stuff. I mean, they could go back to the guy who did them for Macross too, but I forgot who did them off the top of my head, and I don't know if he's still doing any kind of work in the industry anymore, so I can't speak to that. But they could always go back to him because he actually had unique designs. But keep in mind that if you look at the intro to Macross 2, looks a lot like Tekkaman Blade because the guy was the same dude. If you watch the Tekkaman Blade intro and then you watch the Macross 2 intro, compare them, you'll see they just look so similar. Which is nice because you can tell exactly who's doing it, but you know. And yes, Tekkaman Blade is an interesting series. I suggest people watch it, but the ending isn't exactly the most happy ending there is, but I recommend people watch it. But anyway, I wanted to bring this up that Sunrise is now going to be doing the animation for the next Macross. Okay, so I know I kind of went off on a few tangents here and there, but I wanted to explain a lot of things because I haven't really done a real long, in-depth video on, you know, the current state of Macross, and I thought this news was really important to tell the English-speaking audience because no one else is going to hear about it, and I don't use Twitter, so, you know, I just have to rely on other sources, but I wanted people to know this because this is actually very, very big news that Satellite will not be animating Macross anymore. So, anyway, I need to get some shit taken care of, and then I am going to chill for a while. But, anyway, I just want to put that out there, and I will see you on the next video.